are the perk that every inmate wants to get. Conjugal visits. Alone time behind prison walls with a spouse, with a lover, and sometimes even with family and kids. Not much is known about what happens behind those special apartment doors because this is private time. And it is meant to be incentive for prisoners to behave. But at least 2 California prisoners are under suspicion of killing their visitors while in the midst of conjugal visits last year. If you were with us last night on this program, you heard the story of Stevie Dowells. Stevie was visiting David Brinson, a man that she had actually married behind prison walls. Last November, Stevie was strangled while on that conjugal visit. Months later, David Brinson has yet to be charged, and her family is only now getting information about how she died. And if that is surprising, maybe it shouldn't be, because just 4 months before Stevie was killed, Tanya Thomas died in nearly the same way on a conjugal visit in that very same prison. Last summer, Tanya drove 3 hours to the Mule Creek State Prison for a conjugal visit with convicted felon Sean Curry. Curry's a violent carjacker and attempted murderer. And though Tanya shared a child with him, her family and her friends had no idea that they had secretly married. Curry was serving 34 years to life for shooting a 19-year-old woman in the head and then dumping her at a truck stop. She was permanently blinded and partially paralyzed from that attack. But despite all that, Tanya still took him back. Tanya's conjugal visit with Sean was scheduled for July 1st at Mule Creek. At that prison, the visits can last up to 40 hours for inmates. But by 6 a.m. the next morning, Tanya Thomas was dead. Curry told the prison officials that Tanya just didn't wake up. But months later, the coroner said something else, that Tanya had actually been strangled. And it took until last week, a full 9 months later, for Sean Curry to be charged with murder. And again, even though Tanya died in July, 4 months later, Stevie Dowells was killed during her conjugal visit to an inmate who was serving 4 life sentences at Mule Creek. I'm joined now exclusively by Janine Rojo. She is Tanya Thomas's cousin. Janine, thank you so much for agreeing to talk with me on the program tonight. And I'm very sorry that you and your family are going through this loss, especially with this compounding story that this happened twice. When and how did you learn that Tanya had died?
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us this spotlight to air our story. It's very tragic. So she died on July 1st of 2024. However, her son did not get the phone call that she died until the very next day, July 2nd. So we did not know until the next day that she passed away.
She was, as I understand it, Janine, more like a sister to you. Did she ever mention much about Sean Curry? I mean, that she'd even been talking with him, let alone secretly married him?
She definitely did not let us know that they got married and that they were intimately involved the past few years. However, because they do share a son together, he has been in contact with her since he's been in jail for the past 25 years. So we were used to them talking here and there on the phone, but we did not know that they ended up getting married and were planning on, if he was supposed to get out on parole in January 2024, we had no idea that they were planning on living a life together.
So what did you know about him? And did you and the family think much about Sean Curry?
So we've known him since high school. That's where we met. This was, I can't remember, but we were about 15, 16 years old. And we all had the same circle of friends. He was actually a really cool guy. I mean, he didn't show any red flags. He was kind of laid back demeanor, just like Tanya. And then they got intimately involved, and she ended up getting pregnant. But then during her pregnancy, he kind of just disappeared. And then while she was in labor in 1999, that's when I saw that he was on the news. And he was on the news because he shot his 19-year-old girlfriend, Zenaida Brown, I believe that's her name, he shot her in the head and dumped her body at a construction site and left her for dead. She survived because of Good Samaritans that found her the very next day. But Tanya was in labor when all of this happened. And then after that, he was on the news again because they didn't find him. He was on the run and they were looking for him. That's why he was on the news. He was doing carjackings and robberies. I mean, he was just going crazy for about a week or two before they finally found him. And he's been in jail since 1999.
So they share a 25-year-old child together now,
Yeah.
did share. Is there some thought that Sean lied to her about having a parole hearing and maybe was dangling hope that he was going to get out, and that she may have actually set him straight on this conjugal visit, meaning I know that you don't have a parole hearing till 2027, and that maybe that sparked a conflict behind those apartment doors?
So he was being truthful about the parole hearing that he had in January 2024. However, it got denied. And I heard from her best friend after she already passed away, because her best friend was the only person that she told anything to. The family was left out in the dark. Tanya didn't tell us anything because she knew we would not approve, and we were concerned for her safety as far as being in a relationship with him and him being out of jail. So the parole hearing, he got denied in January 2024, and it's my understanding that he told her to wait for him because he was up for another parole hearing in January 2025. However, Ton learned that he really was not up for parole because if you look it up in the system, it's public information, that he had the date of 2027 for the next parole hearing. So we're not sure. We're kind of speculating at this point. We're thinking maybe she went there in July to kind of bid her farewells with him and let him know, hey, I'm not going to wait another 2-3 years for you. Wow. I've already a good 25 years, and if you're not going to get out, then I need to just move on with my life. This is what we're thinking. We may not ever find out what the reason was, but that's kind of what's...
But, you know, one thing you did find out, Janine, was that 4 months later, Stevie Dowells died during a conjugal visit with a dangerous offender. What was your reaction when you heard this, just 4 months after you lost your cousin?
So when I found out, I heard about it on the news in November of 2024, but they didn't give a name and they did not give a cause because it's still under investigation. And I automatically knew. I said, whoever went there to visit, he killed her. And I know that's what happened. So it was a matter of time. And I was praying that I would eventually learn her name and, her family, because I want to contact them. They need to know that this same exact thing just happened in July to my cousin. And it shouldn't happen to Tanya, but it definitely should not have happened to Stevie. I mean,
I agree with you there. I mean, it's just stunning to hear 2 women killed in 1 year at the same institution, both on conjugal visits. Janine Rojo, thank you so much for doing this. And again, my heart goes out to you and your family in your loss. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
And I do want to tell our viewers, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, we reached out to them and they gave us a statement about family visits. And let me read it for you. It says, CDCR family visits are a privilege, and incarcerated persons must apply and meet strict eligibility criteria to be approved. These visits are designed to support positive family connections and successful rehabilitation. CDCR follows established procedures regarding family visit security measures, including conducting regular counts during the visits, as well as inspections and searches when the need arises. But we did not get specific information about these 2 cases.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.